I feel this energy and this truth that comes through you. Like, it just gets me so choked up to be in the presence of somebody that has such a gift. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you believe most of us need to hear and be reminded of.
Most people underestimate how necessary their existence is in the world, and as a result assume a posture of resignation that leaves the world less than what it could be. Our lives are not random, they are not coincidences. We were all given these lives to make the world better, and I feel like most people underestimate how necessary they are, and as a result they don't take their healing seriously, they don't take their thoughts seriously. But if we truly ever tapped into the high value of our breath, it would change what we speak, it would change what we think, it would change how we show up in the world, and it would quite literally make the world a better place.
Sarah Jakes Roberts just gave you a gift. Hey, it's your friend Mel. There are going to be times in your life when you wake up and wonder, have I messed it all up? Periods in your life, that just suck, where you've made a major mistake, you feel a lot of regret. Maybe you're still there mentally right now. Or maybe someone that you love is going through a really low period in their life. When you're struggling, it begs the question, can you really overcome any failure or any pain or regret or mistake that you've made in your life? And if I were to tell you that there's absolutely no mistake that will keep you from becoming who you're truly meant to be, would you actually believe me? Well, after today, you will. Because you're about to meet a remarkably inspiring person who has been knocked down over and over and over again. And she knows the secret to getting back up, to finding your power, even when you feel powerless. When you were little, you once thought anything was possible. This episode today will remind you it still is, because there is nothing that you've done that will stand in the way of who you want to become. So if you're tired of regrets holding you back, and if you're sick of beating yourself up over the mistakes that you've made, today you're going to learn how to pick yourself back up and take that big old pile of leftovers from life and turn it into a 5-star meal. I always say no one's coming, but today, someone special is here. The one and only Sarah Jakes Roberts. I'm so excited to get to spend some time with you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
So I would love to have you start by talking directly to the person who's listening and share with them what they can expect to experience and learn from you today. Like, how might their life change if they take everything that you're about to share to heart?
I would say today you are going to learn to rest in the truth of who you are, not just your hopes and dreams, the achievements and shiny things, but the things that have been hard and challenging. Today you're going to find a way to rest in that, embrace it, accept it, and then allow it to propel you into a big, beautiful future.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Let's go.
Let's go. And in order to go forward, I think oftentimes in life you got to look back.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love the most about you, there's so many things that I love about you, but I love that whenever I watch you online or I tune into a sermon or I read something that you've written, I feel as though I have somebody walking by my side, not somebody speaking down from above. And you have a story in terms of your past that I think a lot of people don't realize. And I would love for us to go back in time before we start talking about the wisdom that you have to share, because there is so much that you've learned from those periods in your life. And so can you take us back to this moment in time? You are the daughter of a well-known mega church pastor, and something happens in your personal life.
Yes, I got pregnant at 13 years old. I had my son at 14 years old, which I think is a staggering sentence no matter whose child you are. But the added complexity of my father being a prominent leader in faith, I think further intensified the sense of shame, the sense of guilt that I had to wade through for about 10 years. And I think also that was heightened by this fact that, like, though I have this family that is huge in the faith world, I never really felt like one of the good girls, one of the God girls, one of the church girls. And so in many ways, it felt like this pregnancy just confirmed a pre-existing insecurity that for some reason I didn't fit. And so my pregnancy is when I accepted, like, okay, this is not for me. I'm going to figure life out on my own, and I'm going to let all the good church people do what good church people do. And I'm just going to figure everything else out.
Well, God had different plans, I think.
He did.
You know, when I think about the age 13 and 14, how did you even process something like that as such a young girl?
I didn't. I thought the worst thing that was going to happen was, like, I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I'm going to be grounded. Like, we didn't even have cell phones at the time. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to take the antenna out of the TV and take the phone cord out of the wall. Like, this is going to be punishment. It wasn't until I saw their reaction that I began to realize that this is bigger than just you're in trouble. This is a life-altering experience that has created grief in our family. And I think that seeing their grief, seeing them struggle with what it means to have a child that's having a child, made me realize that whatever just took place here has changed my life forever.
And it's interesting that you, in reflecting back, can say, my immediate reaction was one of going, oh, well, there are those kind of people over there that are the godly church people. I'm always going to be over here.
Yeah.
What was that journey like over those 10 years where you were wrestling with that natural instinct that we all have, that we separate? We don't see ourselves as connected to other people. We push back against the love that's coming at us or the support that's coming at us. How did you even move through that?
Well, I think, so I started off comparison, so I'm not like them, so let me figure out who I am like. And so I would say, you know what, I kind of feel like I'm close to this kind of girl, so I'll be that kind of girl. And then I got with those kind of girls, I'm like, I don't exactly fit here, so let me go here. And I thought maybe achievement, maybe success, maybe relationships, I can be like whoever this other girl is supposed to be, and then I will try and find myself. And I think as long as I was trying to be like some other version of someone, that I never had an opportunity to figure out who I was. And so for 10 years, I was trying on, like Cinderella, trying on different shoes. Like, I was just trying, going shoe after shoe after shoe, until I said, you know what? I'm going to be barefoot. Who needs shoes? You know, I'm a country girl from West Virginia. I'm going to be barefoot. I'm going to stand flat-footed in the truth of who I am. I'm going to stand flat-footed in this. Maybe it is isolation. Maybe it is loneliness. Maybe I don't fit anywhere. Maybe I just fit within myself. And from that space, I said, you know what? I've tried literally everything. I have waitress at a strip club. I've tried these toxic relationships. I've gone to school. I worked for the government. I tried everything. I said, you know what? I'm going to try faith. I'm going to try and figure out if this God who they talk about, who loves you no matter what, like, I'm going to see if maybe possibly it works for someone like me. And I think from there, this really intimate relationship with God allowed me to encounter healing and love and restoration. And I thought that it would just be between me and God, that it would make no sense to anyone else, but it finally made sense to me.
You said something that struck me, that maybe I could just fit within myself.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Maybe I can just embrace myself. Instead of seeking a sense of belonging, a sense of okayness from other people, if I could find a way to be okay with myself, then I can wrap my arms around who I am. And for me, I had to sit with myself until I no longer cringed. I had to sit with myself until I no longer felt shame. I had to sit with myself until I could experience compassion where I once felt guilt. And from that place of compassion, I learned to love who I am. And like, yes, this is my story. And no, it may not be perfect, but I'm going to stick beside me.
Every single one of us has stuff that we've done in the past, things that we have done to ourselves or other people, mistakes that we think that we've made. How do you begin the process of sitting with yourself? How do you learn how to forgive yourself?
It starts with intention. I sat with myself. I will say those 10 years I was sitting with myself, but I was sitting with myself, punishing myself. How could you be so stupid? You made the biggest mistake. No one's ever going to want you. Sometimes we are sitting with ourselves, but how we are sitting with ourselves is why we can't heal. You can't want to heal and punish yourself at the same time. To repeat the words that other people have spoken over you that were negative, having it replay in your mind over and over again while you sit with yourself will never bring you to a place of healing. Sitting with yourself with the pursuit of compassion, with the pursuit of love and acceptance, that is when we start sitting with ourselves and experience some discomfort and some, dysregulation, because sitting with myself and trying to be compassionate requires me to stretch, to love myself in a way that I don't think is possible. And as long as you don't think it's possible to sit with yourself and love yourself, every facet of who you are, it doesn't matter who you love. It doesn't matter what you achieve. Until you can really sit with yourself, none of those things are going to make you feel better either. But it is the greatest, absolute greatest gift that you can give yourself, to allow love to flood the place where you once felt in emptiness.
I just want to make sure that as you're taking your walk, or you're washing your dishes, or you were driving in your car, that you caught the actual magic that just came through the speakers or the headphones. I have never heard anybody say something as profound as you just said. You cannot heal while you are still punishing yourself.
Oh, yeah. And we don't do ourselves any favors by committing to punishing ourselves over and over again for what we did, for what we allowed to happen. This is what we say though. We say to ourselves, I'm going to keep this from happening again by constantly living with it right in front of me. And if I can live with it right in front of me, if I can beat myself up, if I can punish myself, then I will keep this from happening again. I will prepare myself for further rejection from other people if I constantly remember how unworthy I am, how little value I possess. And so in many ways, we think this is me protecting myself by constantly keeping it in front of my face. But if we're honest, we do long for an existence where we want to believe that I am not just this one moment, but we will never be more than that one moment if we constantly replay that moment in our head. And so to invite into our atmosphere, what other moments do I want to have? What other things do I want to define me? I spent so long not wanting to be defined as a teen mom, instead of saying I will be defined as being a teen mom, but also I'm going to be an incredible person, but also I'm going to love myself, but also I'm going to dream, and I'm going to be an author and a teen mom. I'm not trying to disconnect from who I was. I'm trying to bring all of who I am into the fullness of where I am.
Sarah Jakes Roberts just gave you a gift, but also. But also, I'm this and that. I am all of these things, and I thought that because I was this one thing, I had no permission to be anything else. So yeah, the truth is, I'm a teen mom. Yes, I've gone through divorce. I've got a laundry list of things that I never wanted to be that I've had to step boldly in. And in addition to that, I'm on the Mel Robbins podcast. And in addition to that,
you know what I mean?
Millions of people tune into you. true. Every single week.
All of those things are true. All of these things are true. And I don't want to be all of my achievements. Gosh, can you imagine what that would be? The pressure and the arrogance connected to that. I want to be this beautiful mixture, this beautiful tapestry of a girl on a journey and a woman owning her power. And I can live in all of that. I can do all of that.
A girl on her journey and a woman owning her power. Period. Somebody needs to write a song. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're speaking, have this experience of just things flowing through you? Like I don't even feel like it's a conversation. I feel this energy and this truth that comes through you. Like it just gets me so choked up to be in the presence of somebody that has such a gift.
It's I believe that I'm anointed for this. I believe that anything that I've done in the earth is not a reflection of my skills or my talents or something you pick up in a book. This is a full submission to my belief that I am made in the image of God and that I have this incredible opportunity to reflect God's glory everywhere I go. And if I can get past my nerves, if I can get past my insecurity, if I can get past my second guessing and rest in that truth, there is a flow that just happens. And it doesn't just happen like in this, like I'm in this flow when I'm raising my children. They're opening up to me and I'm like, God, don't let me be worried. Don't let me overreact. You know what I mean? Let me reflect your glory in their vulnerability. Let me reflect your glory when I go into this meeting. I really do want to be a light in this world. And after experiencing as much darkness as I have gone through, to offer just a flicker to another person, like maybe I can't be this big, brilliant light for everyone. But if today in this moment you're listening and I get to be a flicker on your journey, just know that there are other flames connected that are going to build this inferno of who you're going to be. But we got to gather every flicker, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of life that many of us miss, is that we're waiting for these big moments that are going to shine a huge light on us. And when I have that huge light, then I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be powerful. But I am beginning to believe that it's all about us gathering those little moments, those little like Christmas light size moments where things are just a little bit better. And then we look up and things have become brilliant.
Millions of people do tune in to your every word. And having watched and listened to your sermons and experienced what a force you are, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you believe most of us need to hear and be reminded of.
Most people underestimate how necessary their existence is in the world, and as a result assume a posture of resignation that leaves the world less than what it could be. Our lives are not random. They are not coincidences. There is nothing more special about me than there is about you. We were all given these lives to make the world better. And I feel like most people underestimate how necessary they are. And as a result, they don't take their healing seriously. They don't take their thoughts seriously. We put ourselves on discount and give ourselves away to like the lowest bidder because we have these achings inside of us. But if we truly ever tapped into the high value of our breath, it would change what we speak. It would change what we think. It would change how we show up in the world. And it would quite literally make the world a better place. Like if you can just make your world, your friends, your family, your sisters, your coworkers, if you can take seriously the impact you have in your corner of the world, and then I take seriously the impact that I have with my influence in my corner of the world, those incremental commitments are how we begin to change the narrative of what it means to be humans surviving together.
That's beautiful. And I think you're right.
I do too.
I get struck by the number of people that write in every single day that are seeking purpose.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, well, your purpose is to heal and to share yourself and to make yourself better, and then make everybody that comes in contact with you feel a little better, to spread the light that you're talking about. But it starts with you.
Yeah.
You said something that just, holy cow, I'd never heard this. It's this concept of discounting yourself
Oh, yeah.
to the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So when I look at the 10 years of my life where I struggled,
Yep.
first of all, I grew up in church.
Yep.
During the height of purity culture. Okay. So the highest prize was to be this like untouched virgin when you get married. They didn't care if you went to school. They didn't care. Like, girl, just don't give it up. Over and over again. Just like, girl, don't do it. Okay. Well, I did it. I was like, okay.
You're like, I'm gonna do it. You guys are not gonna do it.
I did it. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to knock that price down a little bit, put a little sticker over my worth and my value. And then I'm like, well, hey, the price is already low. You might as well try some other things. And so I think little by little, I fell for this idea that if I cannot live up to someone else's definition of a woman, someone else's definition of a believer, someone else's definition, then I have to discredit, I have to discount who I am. And the only problem with that is when you begin to see yourself as less valuable, you also accept things that you would not otherwise accept if you felt like you had value. If I were smart enough, if I were thin enough, if I were beautiful enough, then maybe I wouldn't have to do this. But since I don't have these things, I have to accept that. And that is a lie. Your value is not set by these experiences you have gone through. They are not set by society's standard. I don't care what they call beautiful. I don't care what they call powerful. Your value is an inside job. It is a commitment that says, you know what? The truth of who I am, my ability to survive all that I've gone through, the way that I have seen the world has added to my value, not decreased it. And that is some big, bad, bold belief that not many of us are able to tap into. But if we can just try by faith to say, you know what if that didn't change anything? I work with women quite a bit. And while my issue was teen pregnancy and having to recover from that, I know enough about what women have gone through to know that whether their parents went divorced, they got divorced, molestation, like they've had all of these experiences that they think in some way has made them different than the person they're sitting next to. And because I am not as valuable, then I have to do things that they don't have to do. What I have learned is that everyone has had some type of experience that has challenged them in their belief of their value. And because we've all had these types of experiences, maybe we aren't any less valuable as a result of the experiences. Maybe instead we're more valuable because the wisdom and resiliency connected with having to face these things have made us more confident, more courageous in how we can show up in the world. There's a conversion that has to take place. But once that conversion happens, there's a relentlessness that is attached to it as well.
For the person listening who is nodding along, and the way you just framed this idea, that if you take any mistake that you make, and then you discount yourself and you start to tell yourself the story over and over again that you're not valuable, which then makes you accept behaviors in your life or makes you discount your own value. And you said, actually, no, there's a flip here. Like all those experiences actually create wisdom. They make you human. And it's what you do with those things that matters. And you have control over that. And most people are sitting there talking about what happened instead of flipping it into something that they can use to make something extraordinary happen. You have this concept about life giving you leftovers and how you make a meal out of it. Can you share that with us? Because I have a feeling that that's sort of a tool we can use to help us look at the things that we keep beating ourselves up over.
Okay, so if I go back to when I was pregnant, and mind you, I was 14 years old So I thought that the only way I could recover from my pregnancy was to create a new life, a new existence. And so my goal was to do something completely new. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a CFO. I am going to put something on top of this teen pregnancy that's going to make things better. And I think that the reason why I failed over and over again in trying to create something new is that I wasn't using what I had left over. Instead of saying, okay, this is what's in my cabinet. I'm a teen mom. I'm a smart girl. I have a writing gift. I kept trying to reinvent who I was.
Oh.
And you can't reinvent who you are using ingredients that don't exist. You got to use all of the ingredients. So yes, I have all of these gifts and talents, but I also have a child. I'm still struggling with, my insecurities. I've gone through this divorce. I have to take all of this in order to create something that is really going to be authentic to who I am. Because what I don't want to do is reinvent a version of myself that requires me to pretend that I'm not who I was. This is who I am. This is my truth. And when you fight to really accept the truth of who you are, you don't allow it to be snatched easily out of your hands. And because it's not snatched easily out of your hands, whatever you build with those things aren't snatched either. When I started blogging, because this is how all of this became a thing, where I had like a following.
Got it. So just to put it in a timeline,
yes.
Are you like in your early 20s?
I'm in my early 20s.
Okay, so you open up the cupboard, and I love that visual, because I think most of us, when we say, let's just look at what you got.
Yeah,
let's just take the raw ingredients. Let's take all, like for me, it's like being molested.
Yeah.
It's all the cheating that I did. It's the anxiety that I struggled with. It's the what a bitch I used to be. It is all of just all of it.
It's all here.
Sarah, when I open up that cupboard, I'm like, whoa.
You know
oh
what?
My God,
I'll just go grocery shopping.
I'm going grocery shopping. I'm not cooking with this stuff.
I'll DoorDash.
Yeah, exactly. No. I'm going to get in the cupboard. Let's do something with it. Let's paint the cupboard. Let's nail it shut. Let's do something. Let's distract everybody over here. But it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because until you get comfortable with the ingredients that you have and you see it as something to use.
Yeah.
Not to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Not to hide, because the stuff that you hide, people and the world then has power over.
For sure.
But the second that you open up the cupboard and you are willing to look at what you're working with.
Yeah.
Now you have power.
Yeah. I love it. That to me is like the greatest message that any of us need to understand, is that like us closing the cabinet means that I have to live an existence that pretends that I don't have what I have. And that is stressful, and that is inauthentic. And then we start people pleasing, because if I'm not going to embrace who I am, then I'll just be whoever you need me to be. But when you say, you know what, this is who I am, and you're going to have to meet me. You're going to have to meet me here. I'm still growing. I'm still talented. But this is what I have to offer. This is what I bring to the table. And I have found value in it. I can show you the value that I have found in it. But until I see it as valuable, I can't expect anyone else to see it. So yeah, in my early 20s, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start blogging. I was in a toxic relationship, and I'm just like, I don't know how I got here. So writing for me is how I process my thoughts, and I'm dumping it onto the internet, not thinking it's going to mean anything. Then people start connecting to this blog, and now they're being inspired, and I'm like, oh Lord.
I didn't mean to open the cupboard.
Not inspired by me. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to slow this train down by telling them, like, I got pregnant at 13 years old. Like, I'm going through a divorce. I dropped out of college. I am not your inspiration. And then I still was. They were like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm no longer alone in this. I didn't know that someone else felt this way. And now all of a sudden, those things that I thought disqualified me, those things that I thought I could never use, are the things that people actually had a taste for. This authenticity, this truth, this uncertainty, and this willingness to own it, there was an appetite for that. That at the time, it felt like very few people were willing to say, this is who I am, this is what I've gone through. And that appetite wasn't just for you to say, this is who I am, but also, I really wish that I could also be this. And so in my early 20s, I started this journey of like, this is where I am. This is what I hope to be true. I'm going to live like it's true. And these women who have been on this journey with me have seen my life evolve literally as a result of us saying like, hey, maybe we are the misfits. Maybe we aren't the ones that anyone wanted, but girl, I'll claim you.
But first you got to claim your cupboard.